All right, I believe we're live.
Perfect.
We are live, Riaz.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean I don't know. I've been looking at the slate, but I can't. I got a couple guys too that I really like. I was on Marcus Smart PRA. He went up one already. I like him, and I like Tatum rebounds. I like this game in general. Plumlee rebounds is nice. Julius Randle rebounds. So there's a lot on here.
There's a lot on here. If people also want some NFL picks, we can definitely jump over to the Monday night game
Yeah, and working some NFL.
for sure.
So you're gonna have to pull up on the side um, if we got questions or anything like that on your
Yeah.
end. I
Yep.
think I can
I
pull it
got
up on
it.
my phone. Pull up the stream. So we got five guys in here now. What's up, guys? It's a little early than our usual posting. We usually post like 12:30, 1 o'clock. So if anyone's in here, if you're new, welcome. Try to get your friends in here. Try to get people in here. We're talking about the NBA slate today. There's a ton of games. We were going to do a video like our normal schedule. However, there's games starting at 1 o'clock and beyond. Ton of games today. MLK is always probably one of the biggest NBA days besides for Christmas. So we're
Here we
just,
got one. What's y'all's favorite picks for the Hornets game? We got a couple picks that we definitely like. Dale was talking about Mason Plumlee rebounds. It is a little high at 11 and a half, but
he's been smashing.
I
And he
mean,
just played Boston too. Got 16 against Boston. Personally, I don't know about you, Rhea. My favorite guy is Marcus Smart, PRA. He looks real good with no Jalen Brown in this matchup. If you look at some of the numbers without Jalen Brown, he's been playing absolutely phenomenal. Averaging 29.1 PRA or points plus assists without him. He had 25 points plus assists versus Charlotte, and that's not even with rebounds. So if he can just throw in a couple rebounds there, maybe 3, 4 rebounds, he should hit this PRA pretty easy. We always go point guards against Charlotte. That's kind of the recipe for the season so far. Point guards against the Lakers, point guards against the Hornets. We know the recipe. Big men against the Pistons. So Marcus Smart kind of fits that bill, along with Jason Tatum rebounds. A lot of people are going to him. Just had 9 against Charlotte. Just got over there, but he looks pretty good too.
yeah, Smart is definitely a really good play with Jalen Brown out. We also saw a little tick last game in that matchup with Derek White being out. I definitely don't hate going back to Derek White. I had him over on the Patreon for his points. I believe it's still at yeah, it's still at 12 and a half. I mean, he played 4 minutes in that game, started off really hot, had 8 points. He's definitely a person you could go to for the scoring aspect of this game. We know the pace is going to be insane. Definitely a great matchup for him with Jalen Brown out. So I had no problem going to Smart or Derek White in this matchup. White points and Marcus Smart PRA.
You gotta reset your mic or something, Riaz. You got some noise going. I don't know what it is. Something in the background.
It's the fan of my laptop going. My apologies for that. Just don't want it to die on you guys. Start firing off some questions. We'll even jump to Monday night game if you guys want. Do some NFL here as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple guys. We didn't do an NFL video, but there's some guys over there we can talk about. So, Cameron, I never seen you comment on our video before, so thanks for being here, dude. There's a couple guys on that slate that are pretty solid. So, more players. I'm sure they'll be adding more picks kind of as we're live.
Yeah, I'd like to see the 2:30 game come out. We're starting to get a little bit of that. We got the Bucks guys coming out. I want to see the Pacers side of that matchup.
Did you fire up the props.cash yet or no?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'll pull that up on the side. So we can, if anyone has any questions, we can kind of pull up some props.cash stuff on the side, and we can kind of see what's going on.
Definitely want to take a look at this Miami Atlanta game at 340. This is definitely a game you can kind of stack if you're just kind of looking to do one game, do a two, three pick power in that game. There's definitely a ton of plays in that one for sure. Uh,
Yeah,
Star studded. You definitely um, want a little more lines come out. See if you can get some assist lines. Definitely the points are out. I don't mind Bam at 20 and a half, especially with Capella still being out. He's definitely going to be a matchup problem for them.
I liked his rebounds too. His rebounds, he's been rebounding the ball like crazy. His PRA is something that people have been going to often. It's been hitting a lot, so it's definitely gotten a bump recently. I don't know if they don't have a PRA line yet for him, but he was hitting his PRA like crazy.
And it was low. It was right. It was under
It's like 34 and a half.
35.
Yeah, something like
Yeah,
that.
so that's definitely where you want it to be. We've definitely seen his rebounds line tick up since it's at 10 and a half. Usually it hovers right around 9.5, 9. So definitely something to take a look at. 13 against Milwaukee, 12 against Milwaukee. So he's been rebounding the ball. Obviously, his scoring aspect is incredible.
Got some other things like, we get into the blocks and steals category. Sometimes I'll go to some guys here. Robert Williams, he's the highest at 2.5. We know his ability. It's just a matter of if he's going to get minutes here, but a good matchup against Charlotte. I like Marcus Smart, though, at blocks and steals, too, as well, because LaMelo Ball turns the ball over a ton. Very, I'm not going to say loose with the ball. He's got an awkward handle, but sometimes he gets sloppy with those full court passes and some of the flashy stuff. I think Marcus Smart um, could take advantage of that. Over 1.5 blocks and steals is really not a bad line for him in this matchup. Free throws made. Couple guys here. Sometimes like I saw, I was looking at a couple things. It was Scohan, your guy for the Spurs, was at like half a free throw. Josh Giddey was at half a free throw the other day. It was almost my Patreon pick. It made me nervous, but he did get to the line once, and he went 2 for 2 from the line. So sometimes you can find some weird value at this free throws made. Like Grant Williams, just half a free throw made. Bobby Portis, half a free throw made.
Coming off six made last game against Miami.
Oh yeah,
He's hit back to back so far right now, so that's definitely some value you can look at.
Rozier. Old team. It's been a while, but I think he's not a bad play.
No, I really don't mind Rozier in his points at 21 and a half. It's kind of where his line has lived. I mean, two straight games now he's hit 21, falling by a half. But even in the last five, we've seen 33 against Toronto, 39 against Milwaukee. So definitely a ton of upside for him. Definitely going to need the scoring in this game, uh, even with what's it called? Even with Brown being out, White, Jason Tatum can always go for 40. Definitely a guy you could take a look at. Tatum being in a high pace matchup here against the Hornets, he could go out and put up 40, but 32 and a half is a pretty steep line for him.
For Tatum. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is high. Steph being back here against Washington, we're waiting kind of for a big Steph game. Over his last 3 games, nothing really crazy. 24 against Phoenix, but I mean, even that game, I mean, they were playing against their whole second rotation, and they still end up losing that game. And then he gets the Spurs, which is like a dream matchup. Doesn't play good against them at all. So he's still getting his legs underneath him. Here against Washington, this is another good spot where he could, potentially smash. 27 is a lot. I wish it was at like 25 and a half, which you get Jordan Poole at 25 and a half. It's kind of hard to think that both of these guys will go for 30.
You still like Marcus Smart over 25 and a half, even with the bump?
I do. I mean, he was at 24. I think Underdog has him at 25 and a half is what I saw. I still think he looks good here.
Yeah, I'm shocked that they bumped it up to 25.5, but I really don't think it matters in this matchup. This is too good of a matchup. I mean, the Hornets rank so poorly in all defensive categories that the uptick he should get with Brown being out is going to be way too good to kind of fade.
And the like at 8 assists, I feel like it's just. I mean, if it was at 7.5, I would think about it. 8 just feels weird to me. I mean, it is a nice line. I mean, 12 assists against Charlotte last time. Obviously you got a ton of assist opportunities going Tatum's way. But for him, I do think he's going to have a pretty good success scoring the ball tonight. I mean, we haven't really seen a monster game out of him. 18 against Dallas is good in his last five. But let's go over to him. I don't know if on the screen you can see the props.cash, but let me type in Marcus Smart and kind of look at some of the numbers here over
No,
this.
the numbers for sure favor this play. Just how poorly they rank for PRA. I'll talk about it a little bit while you're pulling it up. Charlotte ranks 28th in points allowed, 28th in rebounds allowed, 30th in assists allowed, and 28th in shooting guard defense. Obviously, we would have loved to have Jaylen Brown in this matchup because this would be an incredible spot for him tonight. But definitely, or today, as this game tips off in a little over an hour. But this is definitely a perfect matchup for him and really for this whole Boston uh, side in this game.
Yeah, I mean, in his first, they played Charlotte November 28th. He had 39 PRA in that matchup, and then 27 in the most recent matchup. So I know they got him listed on props.cash as shooting guard. Obviously, he runs a lot of the point here. Over the season, though, the numbers don't look great. You look at even the last season, he hit one game against Charlotte at 32 PRA. But like I said, it's different usage. It's a whole different team this year, and it's different usage without Jaylen Brown. So I still would rock with the PRA. I talked briefly about it. I don't know if you were here for it. But the blocks and steals, honestly, I don't think is bad value either at 1.5.
Keep firing off these picks. We'll be probably running right around till tip of the first NBA game, just depending on uh, what everybody wants. So obviously, comment, uh, throw in some NFL if you want. We can easily give you guys some plays for the NFL since we didn't put out a video. So just keep the questions firing. We'll be here for over an hour uh, until tip of the first game. So feel free.
We're gonna look at some of these odds here. We got some betting questions or something like that as well. I'll pull these up. Some of the lines for these games, if anyone's interested. Boston's 8.5 point favorites. They're on the road. Like I said, we still are waiting for some Pacers guys. No Raptors guys. There's a couple maybe Raptors guys out here. Yeah, I didn't see any. No, none in the points category. Um, no Washington guys yet. Um, Jazz, Timberwolves, that seems like that's going to be a good game. That's a high total at 234.5. Waiting on some lines for that. We just got a LeBron James points line. He's like the only one for the Lakers so far. Very, very patiently waiting for Jalen Green points. I think that's going to be some really, really good value. Waiting to see what he's at. I think over on FanDuel, let me check. I think they had his line out already, and I think it was at 23.5. I still think that's really good. Similar to see what we're going to get on Prize Picks. It'll probably be right at 23.5. But these are some solid games. I mean, uh, betting wise, I mean, you kind of have to lay the lines with some of these guys. There's not really much value on the money line unless you're looking for, Toronto to upset the Knicks. Not that it would be much of an upset. It's more of a pick 'em. Pelicans maybe to upset Cleveland. Other than that, really not much juice over here on the betting side of things. But we can talk about it. So if you got all right, rent slate, Al Horford first half. What's that first half fantasy score? I mean, we haven't really hammered out much first half content, Riaz, have we? Might have lost Riaz here. Give me 1 second. I think we lost Riaz. Let me get him fired. Let me get him. Look at him. He's frozen. Let me get him fired back up. Give me a second. He's out of here. He's out of here. It's all right. I can fire out these questions. What do you guys want? Al Horford. I don't. I'm not much of a big NBA first half guy. I mean, there's a couple lines that I did. I was back. They were. It was Jamal Murray and Steph Curry. They're both going against the Rockets, back to back nights, and they were just hammering. Point guards were just hammering the Rockets in the first half. Look at Al Horford, fantasy score in the first half. Shit, I'm sorry. 5 out of his last five. Obviously, the main thing with fantasy score, you rack up a ton of like points on defense. That's the main thing. I mean, if you get some blocks, some steals, blocks I believe are worth 4 over here on fantasy score. So if you look at a block in the first half, maybe a basket or two, and a couple of rebounds, this should fly over. Um, I haven't went to fantasy. I'm more like fantasy score for NFL compared to NBA. But I do like the value here. Not my favorite pick in that entire game. Because I know NBA could be a tale of two halves. I mean, sometimes people come out, and they play just I've taken guys who've had 3 points in the first half, came out and hit their points line in the second. So if you're comfortable taking first half, I'd say go for it. If not, we're gonna keep riding. With the main guys here that I was saying, Marcus Smart, PRA, Jason Tatum rebounds looks good as well. Um, let's see here, trying to cook up a big two-man play. Do you like Brunson over points? Tatum under. It is high. I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna go under here. The matchup's just too good. We look at Tatum's. Let's look at the numbers in the most recent game against Charlotte here. 35 and 33 both games against Charlotte. Obviously, no Jaylen Brown in this matchup as well. And you look at the shot attempts as well. 14 shots from deep in both matchups, 28 and 27. I mean, that's an insane amount of volume when it comes to shot attempts. So yeah, let's look at even in the last season, 44 and 41. But obviously you get the floor with 12 and 19. So I'd say it's a strong fade. I wouldn't say take the over under on Tatum points. It is just a strong fade for me. And then I look at Jalen Brunson. Toronto's weird because they do that. They do that doubling thing where they're gonna double the team's best player and it's gonna force them out of a lot of shots. But who are they gonna double here? Are they gonna double Julius Randle? Or are they just gonna let Siakam maybe handle him, and they're gonna let Jalen Brunson do his thing. So I'm gonna bet they're gonna want to limit Julius Randle more than they're gonna want to limit Jalen Brunson, and that's my opinion. I mean, if you look at the numbers, the numbers say that Jalen Brunson's been having a way better statistical season when it comes to points compared to Julius Randle. Um, but I would say Jalen Brunson over is a really good play here. Let's take a look at some of the Toronto numbers here. We go Brunson, obviously 8th in points allowed, but they're 25th in point guard defense, and he had 26 against Toronto the first time around, but 7 a couple of days before Christmas. So going into last season, obviously completely different story, on a different team, different role. It's a scary one. It just depends how Nick Nurse likes to play. Like I said, he always does that double thing, and they're filled with big guy. Obviously, you take Fred VanVleet out of the situation, they're filled with just big guys. Anunoby, if they let Anunoby check Jalen Brunson, it's going to be very hard for him to score. I think volume is a good chance to get him there alone, but if you look at Randall, his opportunities should be a little bit more easier than what Jalen Brunson will be getting, but we saw him get hot. What game was that? That he was just absolutely cooking. I think it was the game against Indiana. Was absolutely unreal. All the shots he was getting from the elbow. Yeah. So Jalen Brunson, if you like it, it is up to you. I don't think it's. I don't know. You look at 5 out of your last 5, and you want to go to them, but that matchup against Toronto is scary. Let's see if we can get Riaz back on here. Riaz, you back on?
I am back on. That was weird.
The hell happened to you?
I don't know. I got kicked right out for some reason. The internet turned right off.
We've had a couple questions so far. Staples is back in here asking for a vid for NFL tonight. I wouldn't be opposed to kind of cranking one out. I mean, I don't know what you guys got. If Riaz, you got a guy already or what? I have my guy, but we are open to taking questions right now for NFL as well. Um, Mello first half points was a question as well. I don't know if you want to look at that one.
Yeah, Melo first half points.
Yeah.
I don't love this matchup for LaMelo, but obviously, um, he does everything. I mean, he rebounds the ball very well. He scores. He definitely plays much better in the first half than he does in the second half. So that is definitely a line we can look at here. So LaMelo first half at 22 and a half. We've kind of seen an up and down line. He had actually played unbelievable the first half against this Boston team, having 33.2 fantasy score in the first half, which is pretty unbelievable. To be honest with you guys, I don't do a lot of first half lines, but um, I kind of like the under for LaMelo Ball's first half. I know we don't take many unders, but I really don't see him starting off this hot. Obviously, he's going to have Derek White on him. He's going to have Marcus Smart, which will be a real big problem for him. So I don't love this line at 22 and a half. I think if it was under 20, I would be all over it. But the trend of this line is he hits, he misses, he hits, he misses, and he hits. So this is definitely a trending line for him to miss, especially an early 1 o'clock game. We could see these teams kind of start off pretty slow.
Yeah, you kind of got to take that into account as well. The first half points in general, I mean, he smashed first half against Boston last time, 20 points in the first half, which is crazy. We had a question about Jason Tatum points. I kind of said it was just a fade for me. You see some of the floor with him, but then you see some of the ceiling games. But the volume is unreal for Jason Tatum in these matchups. I mean, 27 shots from the field, 14 shots from deep, but 32 is high. And just for him to squeak over last time, if he went for 40 last game, I'd kind of be debating it almost. But 33 against them, it's tough, and it definitely, there's a chance it definitely could blow out. So I don't love it, but we talked about our guys for that game who we like. I said smart PRA, so there's a couple guys, but I think we should kind of get into what we really really like as far as our picks in general. I mean, my main pick was the Marcus Smart PRA, but like who's your go to guy here for some of the people watching? Anyone in this Miami game? Anyone in this Cleveland game? So like, who are you looking at?
Yeah, there's definitely a bunch of guys to look at. It seems like you can go to him every single night, but Donovan Mitchell points always seems like an over a lock for me at 26 and a half. He just he just has so much usage. I mean, I love the matchup, even though obviously Zion would make this game closer. Brandon Ingram would make this game a lot closer. Donovan Mitchell just shoots the ball 20, 25 times a game. He gets to the line. He really starts off games incredible. I don't really mind this line at 26 and a half, if I'm being honest with you guys, because he seems like he's dropping 30, 35 points every single night. I'm pretty sure over here on props they have him scoring 30, 35 points here tonight. So I really love this matchup for him, and I love the volume of shots, and he's been red hot for this whole entire season.
Yeah, I mean, it is weird because like he goes for 46, comes out goes for 26, and then 14, and you think in that matchup against Minnesota he would absolutely smash. So, I mean, it is a little bit up and down. I mean, but you get the like you know what I'm saying. You look at these games where he goes for 22, 24, and then he goes for 71, and then he goes back to 26 and 28, and then he goes for 46. So, um, he is the this is a guy. I mean, in that Utah game, he had 25 at half. So you never really know with someone like with Donovan Mitchell, But this is a really good matchup for him. Truly dishonest. Said, what up, guys? What up, Truly? Thanks for being here, bro. I got 18 people in the live. It's going up as we go. So still enjoying some questions. Like I said, we can always fire over some NFL stuff too. So if you want to talk about some NFL, we won't jump over there yet. But if we do get a question, we will talk about it.
I also like Melo over on his free throws. I believe that was a really good line too. Yeah, 3.5. That's definitely a line I wouldn't mind. I mean, coming off 8, 6 in his last 2 games, obviously he's not scared to drive and make contact, look for the and one, and get to the line. So I actually really do like that over. Definitely a category that I kind of sleep on. I really don't look at free throws made too often, but definitely probably a ton of value over there considering I can't imagine too many people are looking at that line and making the line shift.
Well, like I was telling you, with Josh Giddey at half a free throw and your guy from the Spurs at half a free throw, Portis here, like some of these lines are very intriguing. Some people go to the turnover category as well. I mean, it's some of these categories down here are some sleeper ones too. So, free throws made for LaMelo Ball. For me, I mean, I've watched a lot of LaMelo this year. Sometimes he is timid, sometimes he's not. He obviously wasn't against Boston in this past game, but he is a smaller body, and he was dealing with that ankle injury for a while. So maybe it was just a combination of the ankle. Just maybe just was taking what the defense was giving him. He's shooting a you know shit ton of threes. So maybe that's the difference. His 3 pointers made is something where you can always look to as well. It's at 3.5. It's been at 3.5 for a month now because he takes literally 12 to 14 of them a game. So I think there's a lot of people on this Boston and Charlotte game. If we have questions, we'll talk about it. I kind of want to move on to another game here. We're getting some Indiana guys now. We just got Buddy Hield on the board. Matherin. So what do you think about some of these guys? Matherin's a guy that comes off the bench and can absolutely fire up some shots. Haven't went to any of his lines yet this year. Him against Milwaukee, they could use a nice scoring punch off the bench.
This actually might be a spot where there might be no Halliburton tonight or today this afternoon. So this he could definitely jump into this starting line. I definitely if he's not jumping into the starting line, I like that under 19.5 points is pretty ridiculous for somebody coming off the bench. I know he comes off the bench and shoots a ton of shots, but that line is way too high for me, especially in a
I don't
matchup
know,
against the
Riaz.
Bucks.
But he does that type of stuff. He does that type of stuff. When he comes in, it's not even. It's like Tyler Hero coming off the bench last year.
No, that's true. So he's in the starting lineup. Halliburton is out for today, so he's definitely a guy to take a look at. I mean, him and Buddy Hield are definitely going to get a huge, a huge uptick. I mean, Buddy Hield, even with Halliburton, plays very well. This is where his line usually is 18.5, 17.5. Definitely a spot. Um, but I would take the over on Buddy Hield, especially coming off a really bad game against Memphis where he scored 5. Hunter rebounds on the over.
Let's take a look at it. 4 rebounds. Going against Miami here. I don't love it. There is a nice ceiling here. Let's look at some of the numbers for DeAndre Hunter here. They got him at almost minus 160 at 3.5. You go up a little bit on that. Probably sits at minus 120. Miami's ninth in rebounds allowed, but they also are 29th in small forward defense, 21st in defensive rebounds allowed. So over he's 63% on the season at 3.5. At 4, there's a lot of push. Let's look at the 13 out of 24, 54% when it sits at 4. Against Miami so far. He played them already. He had 3 against them so far this season. I don't absolutely love it. I think it's just kind of like a weird line sitting there at 4. Not one that I definitely would plug in if I'm looking for like a must hit. But he'd be more like a piece to a big power play for me.
I kind of like that. I like that you said he would be a piece because it almost looks like the best scenario here is he pushes or he smashes, but definitely not the best lineup, the best matchup for him. But I think he's been grabbing more boards with Clint Capella being out. I mean, that's 13 to 15 rebounds up for grabs. And we know John Collins is he started off really well rebounding the ball, but it leans to all of these other guys, especially in a line at four. I really don't mind that, especially if they're allowing 33.8 defensive rebounds per game, ranking 21st. So I like that over.
Daniel asked about Giannis, about his points, and we kind of just think about when he's going to break out of the slump. Is this a day where he could break out of the slump today? At first we were looking at that Charlotte game. I was all over him against Charlotte. Goes for 9, 22 in the Garden, where we were just like, oh, he's gonna smash against the Knicks. Goes for 22, and then 7 against Atlanta. Just absolutely, just playing terrible. And the minutes have been there. 36 minutes against New York, 34 minutes against Atlanta. Only goes for 7. Field goal attempts are down. Obviously not really much of a 3-point shooter, but didn't take any threes against Atlanta when he usually takes about 3 a game. So not getting to the line as much. Like, what could we expect to see out of Giannis? Maybe him staying out of foul trouble will help. But what do you think about this matchup here against the Pacers?
I love the matchup against the Pacers. We all know the Pacers give up a ton of points, but he has just been playing so bad. The team looks pretty decent. I think the surgence of Bobby Portis coming in and being healthy and playing a significant amount of minutes is kind of killing Giannis. I mean, when Bobby Portis goes out there and scores 18, 20 points, it takes a lot away from Giannis, and they play together a lot. I mean, if this was somebody like Brooke Lopez, that kind of eats away on Bobby Portis, but they play a lot together, and the fact that he's scoring 7, 9, 22, and his line is still at 31. I would have really loved to see a discount, him being under 30, but I think this is basically the ceiling for him. I mean, he's going to have to drop 32 points. I just don't see it in this matchup. This is also a matchup without Halliburton. This could be a blowout, so we could see him play 3 quarters and sit the fourth if this game gets out of hand.
Yeah, I'd say this isn't the one to attack Giannis for him to come back and play better. I don't think this is the game to do it. I could see him going for I could see him having a solid game, 28, 12, a couple assists, and really having a good solid game. And then running away to a win here. But I would wait. I would fade this matchup. Look at some of the later matchups for the Bucks. I don't know when the next time we're gonna get a Bucks game. I'd have to look who their next opponent would be, but I'd wait for a bigger game to kind of attack Giannis again. Maybe a game that's gonna stay close. Maybe they play someone, like Golden State or something like that. A game that's gonna be very big game. I think that's the one I would attack Giannis on.
I think if you want to chase, I guess not chase, but if you want a piece of Giannis here in this matchup, if you want to watch, if you're watching this game and you want to play Giannis, I definitely recommend maybe going to his assists at 5.5. He's been assisting the ball very well considering his scoring hasn't been there. So this is a really low line at 5.5. Obviously, we know not a triple double threat, but he can rack up a good amount of assists, especially in this matchup.
I look at the rebounds plus assists for him in this match. I think rebounds is a good value here. You look at rebounds plus assists for him. I think that's really, really good value at 18.5. A guy that can get you, 10 assists in a matchup like we've seen, but he can also get you 20 plus rebounds in a matchup. I mean, 18 most recently against Atlanta, 21 against Toronto. Indiana, they're 27th in rebounds allowed total, 29th in offensive rebounds allowed. And you look at the assist numbers, they're 15th in assists allowed as well. So rebounds plus assists, I think, is a really good line for Giannis. What do you think about, maybe us building something up here for the people that are in? Maybe we build maybe like a 4-pick flex or something like that with some of the top guys that we're looking at.
Yeah, I love that.
So
We'll
we'll take someone in the first game. We had a lot of hits on that Boston Charlotte game. I mean, out of all the picks we discussed in that game, what is your go-to? What do you think here?
Yeah, I think we ride with Smart PRA. It's an excellent matchup. Um, Derek White is kind of the. It definitely helped him getting hurt. Unfortunately, Marcus Smart was the reason why Derek White got hurt. But 33 last game against this Hornets team. This is an awesome matchup for him. I think me and you are both on smart PRA. I feel like that's definitely a play we got to plug in here.
Yeah, so we're on smart PRA. I mean, a lot of people are looking at LaMelo. You know, he's a very, I love taking LaMelo picks myself because I love watching him play. So I like taking LaMelo. You look at some of the first half stuff we talked about. Al Horford first half, he's 5 out of his last 5. The free throws made for LaMelo's not bad. Tatum's obviously been scoring the ball well, but 32 is kind of high. So we look at Marcus Smart. 25.5 is what we like. I really like that Giannis play. I know it's kind of sketchy. We talked about Giannis not being the guy to go to today. Anyone else down the board that you kind of look at? We didn't talk about any of these Warriors guys. We had a question about Jalen Brunson points. He's 5 out of his last 5. Is it going to be Jalen Brunson? Is it going to be Julius Randle has a big game because I talked about how Nick Nurse, they love to do this double team stuff. Anytime you go to a guard against Toronto, they usually have a bigger man on. Jalen Brunson's not the biggest guy. He comes in at about 6 foot. If he has an Obi on him, it's going to be a tough time for him scoring. So I look at his 5 out of his last 5, and what do you think about some of these guys for the Knicks?
I don't love the matchup. Obviously, Jalen Brunson's been playing very well, 5 out of the last 5. Julius Randle is always kind of a fade for me every night. I don't love going to Julius Randle just when you look at his last 5. I mean, he goes for 42 against Detroit in an awesome matchup, has an awesome matchup against the Wizards and falls short of this line, and then a really tough game in a great matchup against the Pacers where I believe um, Miles Turner was out. So that makes this matchup even better, and he has 14 points. So Julius Randle is way too up and down for me. I know it's tough to uh, kind of fade Randle because he always happens to have those big games, but this Toronto starting 5 with Pascal, with Scotty Barnes, OG. I mean, this is not the matchup you want to target any big men. So if I had to choose between him or Jalen Brunson, I'd probably lean with Brunson here.
Yeah, both guys scored the ball well. I mean, 20. Well, technically Randall had the better game scoring wise against Toronto last time out. Um, Brunson had 26. Both guys I really want to go to. If I had to pick someone, I'd pick Randall rebounds. I know it's high. Yeah, 12. I think it did already get a bump, but he's been rebounding the ball really, really well. 16, 16. That's 16 against Milwaukee. Obviously, Pacers are a good rebounding matchup. Washington, Detroit, it's easy for a lot of big men to rebound well against them, but they're pulling strings going to some of these New York guys tonight. I think this game's going to be a real tough game. Even the line for this is at 2.5, favored for the Knicks. So this is a really tough game to go. That's why it's mainly a fade for me.
And then Daniel here, Trey Young under is a pretty good play considering his recent history against Miami. What are you thinking? I really don't like Trey Young in this matchup. I'm really leaning towards the guy next to him, and Dejounte Murray, who's been playing really well so far this year. Not so much score or more scoring than anything else. Not really doing the rebounds and the assisting like we saw last season for the Spurs. But yeah, I don't love Trey Young. Obviously, it's tough to kind of fade and take an under on Trey Young when he shoots 14 threes a game, shoots 25 times a game, is always has the ball in his hand. But Miami is always a matchup problem for any guard, really any player on the floor.
I don't like Trae Young in this matchup. I do like an under here for Trae Young. It makes me just think of the playoff series last year, how bad he was. His best game in that playoff series was 25 points in game 2. Game 1, 8 points. Game 4, 9 points. Game 5, 11 points. I mean, you look at some of the statistics for him. Even back, early on in the season, 15 against Miami, 24 against Miami. And this year, 22 against Miami right around Thanksgiving. So it was just a weird it's just a weird thing for him against Miami. Now you bring in a guy like DeJounte Murray, someone that could be just a 1B to him. And, if Trey's struggling, DeJounte Murray could still keep him in the game. So I like a Trey under here. I mean, 26. I wish it was 27.5. I'd smash the under all day. He's played well against good teams. I mean, Clippers are never an easy matchup on defense. Toronto, obviously, we talked about them being a good defensive matchup. But then he in a shootout against Sacramento only scores 21. So he's been up and down. The volume is always going to be there for someone like Trey Young, but I really do like an under here for him. He hasn't really been shooting the ball as much as you want either. I mean, 20 shots on the season is what he averages, but his last five, he's only shot the ball 17 times per game, 15 against Miami, 7.8 3-point attempts per game on the season, and then 6.2 in his last five. So he has not been shooting the ball as much as we would like him to shoot the ball. So I like the under here against Miami.
And it's also tough if you look on props.cash where uh, they ranked Miami ranked second in points allowed, but they ranked 27th in three pointers allowed and 23rd in three pointer percentage allowed and 26th against point guards. So definitely it looks like a good matchup, but the fact that their overall team defense is allowing the second least amount of points in the NBA definitely is a much bigger statistic that you should look at considering than the other ones. I mean, even allowing 36% from three is still not that great.
Yeah, he's 61% on the season as well, which is, you would think it's you know, it's a smart move to kind of go over here. He's actually minus 125 to go over, but on props.cash I have it listed at 25 and a half, 26 and a half here on Prize Picks. It's definitely a sketchy one, but I wouldn't mind punching it in. 2-4 pick power here, honestly, taking the under on him. We don't really go to unders often. I think it'd be a nice change of pace.
Also, if you guys want to drop any questions about how we play, how we manage um, our lineups, definitely feel free to ask away about that. Even the Monday night game, and then I think we should, like you said, let's just run through all the games. I wish they had a little bit more out because we have a ton of games at 3, a 2:30, a 1 o'clock game. So there is definitely a ton of plays today.
Yeah, we're definitely, I'm missing out on that Jazz Timberwolves game. I mean, I feel like that's going to be one to kind of gravitate to. Like I said, I like Jalen Green in this Houston matchup against the Lakers. There was some props out for him over on the sports books. Nothing yet. I look at, um, some things for that matchup, which would be really good for the backcourt, the Houston Rockets backcourt. So, liking that matchup as well. And other than that, I think that's pretty much really all we're missing. Some Grizzlies guys. Um, but other than that, most of everything is out. Unfortunately, I wish Price Picks had everything out sooner. We usually think around 12 o'clock everything kind of gets out.
Yeah, that's what we're really looking at here. Right around 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. Everything's out. Also, check out the Patreon. We had an unbelievable weekend for NFL. It was a weekend definitely to remember. I think we were right around 9-1, 8-1. Obviously, if you paired those up with the YouTube picks, where we went 3-1 over on the YouTube for Saturday and Sunday, you had yourself an amazing weekend. You won a ton of cash. It was amazing. We're pretty locked in for NFL, and we're locking in here today. So I know for us over on the Patreon, we're going to be firing off picks all day long. So it's going to be a really exciting day. $15 a month. It's going to be linked in the description below. You can also find it at patreon.com/upstate. Definitely want to get in there. So just throwing that out there. But let's get back to the picks.
Yeah, we had a question about LeBron James rebounds going against Houston here. He's at 8, a flat line here for LeBron James. What do you think about him?
I love LeBron. I mean, this is a great matchup going against Houston. Obviously, that team is so young. LeBron is such a all star, just top three greatest player to ever play. 8 is pretty perfect. I mean, you don't want him around 9. You don't want him around 10 because you're thinking of the push. Uh, eight's a great number, especially with Anthony Davis being out still. The uptick in rebounds goes up for him. There's really no center that steps in to fill AD's role, so it's really been LeBron and Westbrook getting it done. I would love some Westbrook lines. He has been playing unbelievable, a monster triple double last game. So hopefully by the time we get out of here, a Westbrook line comes out because I'd love to see his assists and his rebounds.
Yeah, Westbrook would be nice to see. I mean, the Houston, like the rankings for them, they're 6 in rebounds allowed. They're sixth best rebounding team. So it's a little bit weird to see them in that high of a defensive category, but LeBron, kind of matchup proof really against any team. So it's really up to you whether you like that line or not. I feel like I kind of look at the 8 rebounds, and I feel like it is too high. I wish it was at like 7.5, but definitely one that I'm not going to be going to. But I do want to plug another guy in here, Riaz. Do want to walk away here with a little 4 guys, maybe 3. If there's anyone else you're thinking here.
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely throw in Buddy Hield. I really like this spot for him at 18 and a half with uh, no Halliburton.
Okay,
I
you
don't
like?
know.
What do you think about his threes?
If
They don't
his
have a
threes
line for
are
him yet, no. But it's
no,
usually at 3.5.
I don't love it at 3.5. If it was 2.5, I would be all over it.
I feel like
But
that's what you get what you get with Buddy Hield, dude. He shoots so many of them. It's insane.
well, that's almost the problem. I mean, he shoots the ball 15, 16 times, and 12, 13 of them are threes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look at his last 10. He's actually 9 out of his last 10 over 4.5 three. They got the line at 4.5 over here on props.cash, which is absolutely insane. He's 6 out of his last 10 at 4.5. 8 out of his last 10 at 3.5. So I'm really curious to see what we get out of Buddy Hield. Maybe we get like just a line at 4, which would be weird for 3 pointers made, but even 4.5 seems really really high. The 18.5 seems more safe just for going straight points.
And I think he's able to get away with shooting that many threes with Halliburton on the court. With him off the court, he's not going to be able to just chuck up threes, especially in big moments, big possessions. He's not going to just be chucking away. He wants to, you know, he's going to be the scorer. He's going to be the scorer on this team. Uh, Obviously, the rookie is an incredible scorer, but they want Buddy Hield to really thrive in this matchup. So look for him to probably shoot the ball upwards of 20 times here with Halliburton out.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's going to be too much volume going his way to kind of not go after him. So I think that's a solid pick. Other than that, though, I mean, waiting on a couple other guys still to come out. We really haven't talked much about this Cleveland game besides for Donovan Mitchell. I haven't went to Garland as much as I wanted to this year, but he's really just kind of been. They've been so good at his lines this season that it's kind of been tough. They really haven't given us any leeway to kind of be like, oh, Darius Garland's in an awesome spot. Just look at the last 5. He's either going 1 or 2 over or under his points, and then his assist line is something I loved last year, and then he really just hovers at like 7 assists and then 8, and then he goes for 6. So they're really spot on with Darius Garland's lines. Just such a consistent player.
They really are. I mean, even his points lines, you would think with the way Donovan Mitchell's been playing, his line, Garland's line wouldn't be close to 20. It'd be at like 16 and a half, 17, but it's always right at 19, 19 and a half. We got a question here. What about Butler over or even Garland? Yeah, we think it's risky too. I mean, like Dale said, these lines for Garland are so spot on. But Jimmy Butler here, I mean, we saw his assists really take off in the last couple of weeks. His last 4 have looked pretty awful. Obviously, his points are definitely something you can take a look at, or even I was gonna say the 3 words that Dell is not a big fan of, but you really never know what you're gonna get from Jimmy Butler. This is a great game. This is probably one of the best games on the slate. So Jimmy Butler's always a play in a matchup like this.
Yeah, I mean he's played pretty decent against them so far. He's had good games against Atlanta over the course of his career. It's just sketchy to me. I mean, if it was like a playoff setting, yeah, I'd love Jimmy Butler, but he's just been too up and down. I think Bam Adebayo is really just cutting into his usage right now because I think Bam's just kind of been, too good lately. But they're both at 20 and a half. He could easily do it. Don't get me wrong, but it's a little sketchy. And then with Garland too, we already talked about Garland. He's sketchy in his own right. I think those two are just like it's that's the big one of the biggest coin flips on the slate is taking Darius Garland. So I wouldn't go to either guy in my opinion, over or under.
I think Jimmy Butler falls in the same line that Garland is. His Jimmy Butler's lines are set so good every single game that he plays. His lines are incredible. So definitely not one, but it does help with Tyler Hero being out. There's like 20, 23 points that are being handed out. Or Tyler Hero's in this game. I would love a Tyler Hero line. I would love for there to be a points for Tyler Hero. If Bam's at 20 and a half, Jimmy Butler's at 20 and a half. If we can get Tyler Hero under 20 at 17, 18, that's an over. Everybody should be looking at.
You have any thoughts on Valanciunas? Recently, he's been absolutely smashing. Not only just getting over 17, but like some big games, like 33 against Detroit, 25 against Dallas, 27 against Washington. Here against Cleveland, you get the big of Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, like a tough defensive matchup. But you think volume kind of trumps this here? Valanciunas has been around. He's played against these guys before. What do you think about him? He's been playing very, very well.
Love Joe Val. I mean, with Zion being out, he's basically the only rebounder on this team, and CJ McCollum can't score every point, so they're going to need Valanciunas, like he's been doing, scoring 20, 25 points, having monster performances. I don't know what I could really lock in on. I mean, I'm looking at his points and rebounds at 27 and a half. Definitely some value there if we think he's going to go over 20, 21 points. Obviously, I think he's going to grab 10, 11 rebounds. So that's definitely a prop you could look at. Valanciunas over 27 and a half points and rebounds.
I don't mind that one either. I think that's good. He rebounds the ball like crazy. The foul trouble down there might get a little bit iffy between Allen or him. I think one of these guys might end up in foul trouble. Obviously, Mobley is a guy that can just defend really anybody on the court, so it gets a little bit tough down there for him. But 17, I feel like it's a good line for him. It's enough discount to where you want to take it, but it's not high enough. I mean, if it was a better matchup, I think they'd probably have this line at 20 and a half. But here against Cleveland, they know it's tough. They're trying to bait people into taking this line, so I don't think it's too bad.
No, I don't mind 17 and a half. Obviously, it's tough to look at coming off a great game against Detroit just because Detroit gives up so many big games to centers, to basically every single superstar. So, not saying Valanciunas is a superstar, but he's been around the league for a while and he's pretty consistent. So, definitely strange to see his line, especially his points line at 17 and a half.
And then other than that, we're still waiting on some guys. If we have 32 people in the live right now, if anyone else has questions, it's kind of just been Jordan and Daniel going back and forth. Anyone else, feel free to drop a question. If you have a question about the Monday Night Football game, drop a question down below as well. Other than that, I mean, it's kind of tough. We kind of bounced around to every game so far, kind of the people that we like. So if you have any more questions before we kind of get off here, we got some things to cover over on the Patreon. Tip starts in 40 minutes, so we got to get some picks out over for the Patreon members as well. So, if you guys have any last minute questions or anything, fire them away. We've been live for almost an hour here, I believe.
Yeah, this has been good. And also drop down in the comments if you guys want us to go live more. Uh, we know there's only a certain days that we go live. Obviously for the Super Bowl, we went live last year. This is a great day for NBA to go live since there's games all throughout the day with a 6 o'clock and 10:30 games. So this is definitely more productive than getting a video out. So if you want more lives, maybe we can do a couple more lives. Over the weekend. And also, we've been thinking about doing like a little recap stream at the end of days. Just talk about, who had a great game, who really was lackluster. So, write down in the comments if you want us to go live, 10, 10:30 at night. I mean, we're both up. So, definitely, if that's something you guys would be interested, let us know.
Jeff
Dak and
Smith,
Brady both
yeah, go
over
for it. Yeah,
over pass attempts.
I am not a fan. I look at the way this game played out the first time around. Let's go to the stats. I mean, it was a low scoring game in that matchup. Dak's pass attempts in that matchup. He have went for 29 pass attempts in that matchup. Brady himself threw the ball 27 times against Dallas on opening night of the season. So we know the numbers for Brady this year. He threw he broke the record, the most pass attempts in the entire season for any quarterback of all time, especially at 45 years old. It's insane, but I think I would lean more towards Brady than I would Dak, but I feel like there's going to be a lot of pressure on Brady here. Not as like mentally pressure, but I'm saying like pressure from Dallas's defense. So they might try to look to run the ball a little bit more. It's kind of a tough game to read. You kind of look at it. It could fly the over. Or, I mean, Riaz, if we can't lie, we can easily see this game being 17-10 either side.
Without a doubt, but I really would prefer Brady. We've seen really bad rushing performances from Leonard Fournette as of late. Rashard White hasn't looked that great as well. He's more used in the passing game. So, and obviously Dak has two really good safety blankets with Zeke and Pollard. So, uh, I don't think they want Dak throwing the ball, considering. Hate to bring this up, but how he turns the ball over. It seems like every single game he throws an interception. So definitely in a matchup like this where Dallas is riding high from a really good season, Tampa Bay looking really well as of late in the last I'd say 6-5 weeks. They've really turned the ship for this team. I wouldn't mind doing an over for Brady and an under for Dak.
Yeah, because obviously there's a formula for the Dallas Cowboys. Like they could easily have a game where they want to throw the ball or run the ball, and running the ball for them works really, really well. And here against Tampa Bay, it definitely can. But I look at the first matchup. Obviously, you know, 18 games later, things are like drastically different for both sides, both teams. I don't really know who's even going to win this game. People probably have some strong thoughts on that, but 27 pass attempts for Brady in the first matchup, 29 for Dak in the first matchup. So um, I really don't like either of them. So we have some more NBA questions from Corey Kane. A lot of first half stuff. Jared Allen first half PRA. LaMelo Ball first half PRA. CJ McCollum first half PRA. Jalen Brunson first half PRA. Jason Tatum assists. A ton of first half stuff. We went over that game a ton. Corey, I don't know if you've been here since the beginning, but we talked about some first half stuff. Uh, Al Horford first half is probably one of your best bets. LaMelo Ball first half played really well the first time around. They're playing second time you see an opponent. Usually things don't go the same as the first time around. So whatever you prefer there for first half, we don't really do much of that stuff. But we talked about our main pick for that game would be Marcus Smart over 25.5 PRA.
Jared Allen PRA is definitely a PRA that the first half is probably pretty low. Let me find him here. At 12 and a half, to be honest with you, I don't mind that Jared Allen first half PRA at 12 and a half. I haven't even looked at this. 4 out of the last 5. Um, I'm sure he must have gotten hurt in that Utah game for him to only have 5 or 1. So if he got hurt 4 out of the last 4, definitely a uh, great matchup for him against this banged up Pelicans team. This might be one I'll be plugging in as well. I like the value here.
Yeah, no, it is really good value. You can easily see 8.6 rebounds, maybe an assist out of him in the first half. So Jared Allen, we talked about how good Joe Val's been playing. So obviously the problem with the first half with the big man is always foul trouble. 2 fouls can easily put them on the bench here. They can get 2 fouls in the first quarter. They can sit a lot of the second. That's obviously a big risk. So Jared Allen here. It's a solid line for him first half. If we're looking to punch in a 4 pick, that'd be it. Jordan wants to cook up a 6 pick before tip off for this Boston Charlotte game, and Jordan, that's a ton of picks for this game. Um, but Briaz, fire if you're gonna fire off a six pick for the Boston and Charlotte game. What are you firing off? Okay, let's talk about what we
No
talked about so
numbers, just
far.
off your gut. I
Off
mean,
off gut. Okay, well, okay, off
yeah,
gut. So we got smart PRA
yep.
and we got Al Horford first half fantasy score. Or you want to go first half points?
What's that at? 5.5.
His first half fantasy score is at 13 and a half. He's 5 out of his last 5.
Plug it in.
Okay.
I like the
So,
Lamelo. I do like the Lamelo foul shots.
okay, so we'll go LaMelo free throws made.
Yep.
I feel like it's just so many picks. You feel like you kind of have to put Tatum in there. I'm not sure. I think if I had to choose one Tatum line, it would be his rebounds. Um, so you look at that one. I mean, we have the Mason Plumlee rebounds. We got 3 players right now.
The problem with his rebounds that makes me very nervous is Robert Williams being back. I think him and Horford being on the court at the same time, especially with Tatum, is going to eat a ton of his rebounds up.
Yeah, well, he played last game, Robert Williams.
No, I know.
And Plumlee smash. He had 16 rebounds in that matchup.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Tatum.
No, I said Tatum or Plumlee. And, and,
I do
and
like Plumlee. He's really the only rebounder on this Charlotte team.
okay, so we'll rock with Plumlee.
And I want to go
And
back to Derek White here, points.
that's what I was gonna say. I don't mind Derek White points at all. I think he just started off that game too good. 3 for 3 from our he was 2 for 2 from the 3 point line. Also hit his one field goal from mid range. So if it wasn't for that injury, I mean I think he was on his way.
I'm missing one here. Oh, Al Horford fantasy score.
Yeah, so we got first half fantasy score.
First half fantasy score. So we're looking for one more play. If anybody wants to throw in a play, feel free. We'll plug it right in.
I mean, you kind of look at Tatum, Terry Rozier. That's pretty much the guys you're kind of looking at here. I mean, Robert Williams.
So as of right now, we have Marcus Smart over his PRA, LaMelo Ball over his free throws made. We have Mason Plumlee over his rebounds, Derek White over his points, Al Horford over his first half fantasy score, LaMelo rebounds and assists. Ooh, I like that one. Let's see what's that sitting at.
I don't think we can.
Oh, we can't
No, we can't.
because we have LaMelo.
We
Well,
have LaMelo in there
if
already.
we're getting better, we believe we got better value taking his rebounds and assists. Let's see what that 14.
I don't love it. His rebounds,
I
he
don't
was
love
rebound,
that.
he was rebounding the ball like crazy, and now he. I like the free throws.
Yeah, especially when you look at a line for rebounds and points at 14. If you're splitting it right down the middle, it needs 7 and 7, nine assists, or realistically, if you 9 assists and 6 rebounds, yeah, to hit that over.
I say we go Terry Rozier threes or Tatum. You gotta go Tatum assists or points. But I think Terry Rozier threes is not bad.
I like Rozier threes.
Let's punch it. Let's punch it.
Let's do it.
All right, Jordan. Before we log off, smart PRA, Horford 13.5 fantasy score, LaMelo Ball 3.5 free throws made, Mason Plumlee rebounds, Derek White points, Terry Rozier 2.5 3 pointers made. Punch it in. The rent is late. He needs a play. We're on live. Smart got bumped. I know he got bumped, but it's all right. We still like the PRA for him. But let's do it. Let's do it. punch it in and let's get out of here, Riaz. We've been on for about an hour here, so I want to thank all you guys for being here. Be sure to go check out the Patreon as well, and yeah, we'll catch you
We're
guys
gonna be
next time.
firing picks all day.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll see you guys next time.